The internet is in total chaos. Fans are absolutely stunned, and the Frost family may never be the same again. A shocking video has just leaked that could destroy everything Rasheeda thought she knew and everything Kirk promised he would never do again. Yes, you heard it right. In a moment that no one saw coming, Kirk Frost, the man who once begged for forgiveness and cried tears on national television, has reportedly told Rasheeda it's over and then turned around and proposed to none other than Jasmine Washington. And now, the entire love and hip-hop universe is spiraling into madness. Sources say the footage was never meant to be seen. It was a private moment, filmed behind closed doors, or so they thought. But now, the clip is everywhere, on fan pages, in blog headlines, even playing on a loop in reaction videos across TikTok. In it, Kirk stands nervously in front of Jasmine, holding a ring box, whispering words that have left Rasheeda absolutely gutted and fans feeling betrayed. And just hours before that video was recorded, he allegedly looked Rasheeda in the eyes and told her their marriage had run its course. The betrayal isn't just personal, it's historic. After everything Rasheeda forgave, after every second chance she gave Kirk, after defending him, rebuilding with him, even rebranding her entire life to stand beside him, this is how he repays her. Fans can't believe it. Emotions are running high. The family is divided. And now, the question everyone's asking is, did Kirk ever really change, or was this part of the plan all along? Grab your seat, because we're about to break down every heartbreaking twist, every shocking betrayal, and the secret double life Kirk Frost may have been living all along. The lies are unraveling. The truth is on full display, and Rasheeda, she may never look back again. It started with a whisper, a strange silence that crept through the Frost household like an invisible storm. Rasheeda could sense it before Kirk even said a word, the way he avoided eye contact, the way his phone seemed to live in his hand like it was breathing, how his tone grew clipped, and his smile stopped reaching his eyes. For weeks, she brushed it off as pressure, business stress, family fatigue. But then came the moment. One quiet Sunday morning, when the kids were still asleep and the sky outside their home was dull with early clouds, Kirk walked into the kitchen, sat at the edge of the marble island, and without even meeting her eyes, muttered, "I think it's over." The air cracked in the room. Rasheeda stared at him, frozen in place, holding a coffee mug that suddenly felt as heavy as betrayal. "Excuse me," she said, voice low and trembling. Kirk didn't repeat himself. He didn't need to. Everything about him screamed detachment, as if he'd already left the marriage days ago but was just now informing the person he left behind. Rasheeda didn't yell, not yet. Her silence was louder. "Is there someone else?" she finally asked. He paused, and that pause was everything. She didn't need him to say it. Her instincts already knew. Kirk stood up, ran his fingers down his beard, and only said, "I'm tired of fighting. Maybe we're just better apart now." With that, he walked away. No explanation, no closure, just a heavy echo of goodbye, thrown at a woman who had stood by his side through cheating scandals, public humiliation, and years of trying to rebuild a broken trust. But it wasn't just heartbreak Rasheeda was battling, it was confusion. Because just days earlier, Kirk had been holding her hand at a family event, smiling like everything was fine. No warnings, no signs of a looming break. Which is why what happened next shook her and everyone else to the core. Less than 48 hours after telling Rasheeda it was over, a video leaked. It wasn't grainy or unclear. It wasn't hearsay or tabloid trash. It was a full, crystal clear, uncut clip of Kirk down on one knee in a dimly lit lounge, velvet ring box in hand, asking Jasmine Washington to marry him. The very woman he had an affair with years ago. The very woman Rasheeda had been forced to publicly forgive him over. The very woman who had disappeared from headlines only to come roaring back into the spotlight on Kirk's arm again. In the video, Kirk is seen adjusting his jacket, looking nervous, then smiling softly as he says, "I should have done this a long time ago." Jasmine laughs, touches her growing baby bump, and gasps when he pulls out the ring. "You're serious?" she asks. "More than I've ever been," he replies. "You've been patient. You've been real. Let's stop hiding." The audience, if any was present, remained unseen, but online, the world exploded. The video hit every major gossip blog within an hour. Fans couldn't believe what they were watching. Is this real? Did Kirk actually propose to Jasmine 2 days after leaving Rasheeda? What kind of madness is this? The comments flew in by the thousands. Many called it the biggest betrayal in love and hip-hop history. And Rasheeda, she was blindsided. Word reached her through a frantic call from her cousin who had seen the clip go viral on Twitter. She watched it in silence, tears welling but refusing to fall, her chest heavy with the weight of a heartbreak that had been broadcast to the world. It wasn't just a proposal, it was humiliation, it was finality, and it was filmed like it was meant to be remembered. In the hours that followed, Rasheeda's world collapsed in slow motion. Paparazzi showed up outside her store, shouting questions. Did you know Kirk was proposing to Jasmine? Are you getting a divorce? How do you feel about being replaced? She pushed through them without a word, flanked by her assistant, dark glasses hiding her reddened eyes. But inside, she was unraveling, not just because of what Kirk did, but how he did it. Publicly, brazenly, like Rasheeda had been just another chapter in a story he'd already finished writing. And Jasmine? She didn't stay silent. That same day, she posted a photo of the ring, a massive cushion-cut diamond set in rose gold with the caption, "God's timing is always right." The comment section lit up like fireworks. Some congratulated her, many cursed her, but she didn't care. She'd been waiting in the shadows for her moment, and now it was here. She wasn't hiding anymore. Kirk also spoke briefly. In a now deleted Instagram story he wrote, "Life moves forward. Don't hate me for following my heart." The backlash was instant. Fans and fellow celebs alike ripped into him for the coldness of his words. "You follow your heart by destroying your home." One comment read, "You played a woman who stood by you when no one else would." Another simply wrote, "Rasheeda deserved better. You're the downgrade, not the prize." But Kirk had made his choice, and now the consequences were unfolding in real time. Inside her home, Rasheeda broke down. Not once, not twice, but over and over, behind locked doors, in the privacy of her closet, in the silence of her shower, in the darkness of early morning. When her kids were still asleep, she cried not just for herself, but for everything she gave up to make that marriage work. For the apologies she accepted, for the lies she believed, for the woman she silenced inside herself just to keep the peace. Her friends rallied around her, furious, stunned, loyal. "This ain't right." One friend told her, "You carried him, Rasheeda. You built with him, and this is how he pays you back." Even her mother, who had once told her to forgive Kirk for the kids, was livid. "No more passes," she said. "This is war now." And war it would become. Because Rasheeda wasn't going to just sit quietly and let this play out on its own. The woman who had once kept her head down to protect her family was gone. In her place stood someone else, someone rising. She started contacting attorneys. She began auditing joint bank accounts. She paused filming commitments and began writing down her truth. If they want a show, she reportedly told a close friend, they're about to get one. What no one knew at the time was that the video of the proposal, the one that leaked, wasn't supposed to go public. It was recorded privately by someone close to Jasmine, likely a friend who couldn't resist a chance to cash in on the moment. A betrayal within a betrayal. And that friend had allegedly sold the footage to a major gossip outlet for a high price. Jasmine was blindsided by the leak too, but the damage was already done. Her moment of triumph had turned into public scandal. And now, the world wasn't celebrating her, it was dissecting her. How long had she and Kirk been secretly meeting? Was this proposal planned before he ended things with Rasheeda? Was Jasmine pregnant again with Kirk's child? The questions multiplied by the second. Back in Kirk's circle, even his longtime friends were split. Some backed him, calling it his right to be happy, while others distanced themselves entirely. "This ain't the move," one business partner allegedly said. "Not like this. You could have ended it right, not burned it all down." Kirk didn't respond to critics, but his silence only made things worse. Fans felt betrayed, especially those who had rooted for his redemption, who believed in the Frost family brand, who saw Rasheeda as the example of strength and grace. Now, That image was shattered. And just when everyone thought the drama had peaked, a new twist surfaced, a voice memo sent anonymously to a blog known for celebrity leaks. The voice in the recording was unmistakably Kirk's. In it, he is heard telling someone, "Rasheeda's not gonna take this well, but I'm tired of faking. Jasmine's been real with me. She never judged me. She deserves this." The memo sent shockwaves across the internet. It confirmed what Rasheeda had feared most, that the betrayal had been brewing long before the breakup, and that Kirk had simply played her for as long as it took to make his exit look clean. But it wasn't clean. It was ugly, public, violent, in its emotional recklessness. And Rasheeda was done playing the calm one. Her silence was temporary. Her response? Inevitable. Because behind the tears and the hurt was a woman preparing to show the world exactly who she was, not the wife who stayed, but the queen who rose. When Rasheeda finally emerged from her home days later, something was different. Not just the sharpness of her outfit or the stone-cold calm on her face, but the weight in her walk. She wasn't crushed. She wasn't defeated. She was focused. Gone were the hesitant movements of a woman asking herself if she was to blame. In their place was steel. She arrived at her store flanked by security, her team wearing black, her expression unreadable. Paparazzi shouted questions again, but this time, she didn't push through quietly. She paused, looked one of them dead in the eye, and said, "You'll get your answers soon. Just wait." That single sentence was enough to send social media into another meltdown. Fans knew what that meant. Rasheeda was preparing to speak, and not just in vague captions or tearful confessions. She was going to drop everything, and Kirk was the one who should be shaking. Behind the scenes, Rasheeda's team was already preparing a sit-down interview. No network, no filters, no producers, just her and the truth. Rumor had it that she'd be revealing screenshots, audio messages, and even contracts proving that Kirk and Jasmine had been in contact for over a year. The proposal wasn't sudden, it was orchestrated, and Rasheeda had the receipts. While fans waited on pins and needles, Jasmine was busy trying to reframe the narrative. She posted a video from her backyard, sun shining, showing off her ring. Again, this time with a caption that read, "Peace over pain, love over lies. Real wins." But the comment section wasn't buying it. Thousands flooded her post with snake emojis, accusations of being a homewrecker for hire, and direct quotes from the leaked voice memo. "He told her it was over after he proposed to you. Ain't nothing real about that." Another comment read, "You're proud of stealing a man who was never yours to begin with." Jasmine clapped back in stories, claiming she wasn't stealing anyone. "Kirk made a choice. If he was unhappy, that's not on me. I just accepted the love he was giving." But love given in secret always becomes betrayal in the light. And Jasmine, knowingly or not, was now the face of it. Inside the Frost home, the children were starting to ask questions. Rasheeda did everything she could to shield them from the headlines. But there's only so much you can hide when your family is the hottest trending topic online. Her eldest son confronted her, voice shaking. "Is Dad really with her?" Rasheeda's heart broke all over again, but she stayed composed. "What your father did," she said, "has nothing to do with who you are. You are loved, and we're going to be okay." But her voice cracked on that last word. Okay. What even was okay now? She had spent years rebuilding trust that was never real. Loving a man who was loving someone else behind closed doors, and pretending the past didn't matter when it was rotting beneath the surface the entire time. Now, it was exposed and rotting in public. And still, Kirk said nothing. The man who once cried on reality TV, who begged for another chance, who promised he was a changed man, had disappeared into silence. A few blurry paparazzi photos surfaced of him and Jasmine walking through a parking lot together, trying to duck from cameras. No statements, no apologies, no remorse, just avoidance. And then, out of nowhere, Jasmine posted another bombshell, an ultrasound image. The caption read, "Can't wait to meet you, baby girl." The internet exploded. Was Kirk the father? Again? Was this the real reason behind the proposal? Was this Jasmine's ultimate revenge for being pushed aside all those years ago? Rasheeda didn't respond publicly, But sources close to her leaked word that she was already planning to legally separate, and more than that, she was preparing to challenge every single asset that had been jointly owned. This wasn't going to be a quiet divorce. This was war, financial and emotional, and she was ready. A friend of the family revealed that Rasheeda had discovered secret bank transfers, money being funneled from their joint account into a private fund Kirk had kept hidden. Allegedly, he used that money to buy Jasmine a new car and cover the venue for the proposal. Rasheeda's team froze the accounts immediately, and her legal team issued a warning: any more spending without consent would be considered marital fraud. Kirk was no longer just facing public backlash, he was facing consequences. Then came the bombshell that no one expected. A second leaked video surfaced. This one appeared to have been recorded by Jasmine herself, secretly, during a phone call with Kirk just 2 weeks before he told Rasheeda it was over. In the clip, Kirk is heard saying, "Just hold on a little longer. I gotta make it clean. I can't just walk out without a plan." But you know it's you. It's always been you. The internet lost its mind. If this video was real and all signs pointed to it being authentic, then Kirk had been plotting behind Rasheeda's back for far longer than anyone guessed. He hadn't just fallen out of love. He had strategized his exit like a businessman, leaving a deal cold, calculated, cruel. Blogs ran with it. Kirk's double life, audio proof of premeditated betrayal, became the most shared headline that week. Even celebrities chimed in. A-list stars and hip-hop icons voiced their support for Rasheeda, praising her poise and vowing never to support Kirk's ventures again. His brand deals started pulling out. A liquor sponsor dropped him. A club appearance was cancelled last minute. The fallout was no longer just emotional, it was professional. Jasmine's brand also took a hit. She lost endorsements, got dropped by a lash company, and had to disable comments on all platforms after receiving thousands of angry messages in a matter of hours. What was supposed to be their grand debut as a couple had turned into a public execution. Rasheeda, finally ready to speak, released a short teaser video titled "My Side of the Story." Just her, sitting on a couch, looking directly into the camera. "You think you know, but you don't," she said in the clip. "Let me tell you what really happened." That video alone racked up 500,000 views in 3 hours. Fans marked their calendars. The full episode was set to drop on her YouTube channel that Friday, and people were already calling it the interview of the year. What would she reveal? How deep did Kirk's deception really go? And what had Jasmine known all along? But before the video even aired, Rasheeda dropped one more twist. She was filing for full ownership of all their shared business ventures. In court documents obtained by a gossip site, she claimed Kirk had been negligent in their businesses, siphoning funds, making decisions behind her back, and jeopardizing brand integrity. In short, she wanted him out of the stores, of the contracts, of the empire they built together. Her lawyers requested an emergency hearing. Kirk, blindsided yet again, was said to be stunned. One source close to him said, he really thought Rasheeda would just let it go. He underestimated her, and that was his final mistake. The Rasheeda of old, the woman who gave second, third, and 10th chances, was gone. In her place stood a force Kirk never expected, a woman with evidence, power, support, and no intention of fading into the background while he played house with the same woman who tore theirs apart. As Friday approached, fans flooded the internet with speculation. What else would Rasheeda reveal? Were more leaks coming? Was Jasmine really pregnant with Kirk's baby again, or had she trapped him in another lie? The flames Rasheeda lit didn't just scorch, they consumed. Courtrooms, headlines, brand endorsements, and even private group chats became battlegrounds for the fallout of one of reality television's most explosive betrayals. The hearing she filed for moved swiftly, faster than even her lawyers anticipated, because the courts recognized what she already knew. Timing was everything. With receipts in hand, bank statements lined up, audio recordings cataloged, and witness testimonies from former employees ready to go, Rasheeda stepped into the courtroom not as a victim, but as a strategist. Kirk showed up late, eyes puffy, wearing a navy suit that hung off him like guilt. Jasmine didn't appear in person, but her name echoed through the chambers like a ghost neither side could shake. Rasheeda's lawyers argued that Kirk had deliberately concealed finances, misused business accounts, and committed emotional fraud under the pretense of saving their marriage while pursuing a separate relationship behind her back. The audio of him telling Jasmine, "Hold on, I gotta make it clean," was played aloud in court. Kirk's face didn't flinch, but his attorney reportedly asked for a short recess immediately after. The judge, a woman known for not tolerating games in family court, raised an eyebrow and said, "Sounds like premeditated deception to me." Outside, fans gathered near the courthouse like it was a movie premiere. News vans were parked along the curb. Hashtags like #Rasheeda rises and #Kirk downfall trended all day. One fan held a sign that read, "She was your spine, and you broke her back." Others simply chanted Rasheeda's name. The love was overwhelming, but inside, she remained calm, focused. Not once did she meet Kirk's eyes. She didn't need to. His silence now spoke volumes, and hers weaponized was echoing louder than any of his past excuses. When the session adjourned, Rasheeda walked out with her head high, flanked not just by her legal team but by something deeper: moral authority. She wasn't fighting for pity. She was fighting to reclaim what had always been hers and expose the truth he never thought she'd find. And still, the drama wasn't done. That night, Jasmine posted a now infamous Instagram live that would go down in internet history. She sat in a silk robe, sipping wine, her tone smug, eyes gleaming with a strange blend of arrogance and delusion. "I don't owe anyone an apology," she began. "I didn't break their marriage. It was broken before I ever walked back in. Kirk came to me. Kirk wanted this. I didn't beg him to propose." But then she slipped. In an offhand comment, she admitted something that sent the chat into a frenzy. "I mean, yeah, we've been talking for months even before his birthday trip. But you're acting like Rasheeda's some saint." She knew. That single sentence broke the internet. Fans clipped it, dissected it, analyzed the timeline, and suddenly a new theory emerged. Did Rasheeda know more than she let on? Was she staying silent for strategic reasons, waiting to play her cards in court, or had she truly been blindsided? The speculation gave Kirk a brief moment of reprieve, but it didn't last. Because the next morning, Rasheeda posted a single image to her story, a screen recording of her phone logs, proving she hadn't spoken to Jasmine in over a year. Caption? "She lies like she breathes." And just like that, the pendulum swung back. Jasmine's live had become her undoing. By the weekend, Rasheeda's full tell-all video dropped on YouTube. It was raw. It was real. No fancy production. Just her sitting alone in a white room. No makeup. No background music, just truth. She started from the beginning. How she forgave Kirk years ago after the first Jasmine scandal. How she rebuilt her trust brick by brick, only to have it torn down overnight. "I didn't stay because I was weak," she said at one point, tears finally spilling. "I stayed because I believed love could win." But love without honesty? That's just manipulation. She talked about finding the receipts, hearing the leaked audio, sitting in the shower and screaming into a towel so her kids wouldn't hear. She talked about what betrayal feels like when it doesn't just come from a partner but from someone you once pitied, defended, tried to protect. "I looked Jasmine in the eyes years ago," she said. "I told her I forgave her, not because she earned it, but because I needed to heal." And this is what she did with that grace. The video surpassed 1 million views in under 12 hours. Celebrities reposted it. Women across the country praised her vulnerability. One famous actress commented, "This isn't reality TV. This is reality." The comments were flooded with words like powerful, healing, warrior. Kirk, meanwhile, lost over 200,000 followers in 2 days. Brand partnerships continued to collapse. Even artists who used to feature him in shows and clubs pulled their support. Jasmine went silent. Not a post, not a story, just digital silence. As the wave of support for Rasheeda grew louder, deeper, more unified. This wasn't just a divorce, it was a reckoning. And then came the final twist no one saw coming. One of Kirk's former assistants came forward anonymously to a blog, dropping receipts that took the story into dangerous territory. Emails, dates, payment records, Even photos proving that Kirk had been financially supporting Jasmine for the past 8 months using funds funneled through a fake LLC listed under a cousin's name. The money trail was undeniable. Even worse, one of the payments was labeled ring deposit. Yes, the proposal ring had been paid for using a dummy business account tied to the same fund Rasheeda had helped him create to launch their clothing line. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was financial, legal, fraudulent. Rasheeda's lawyers responded within hours, filing an amendment to her lawsuit seeking damages for breach of marital trust and asset misuse. Now, Kirk wasn't just facing divorce, he was facing potential criminal investigation. Jasmine, knowingly or not, had become part of a financial scandal, and the court had more than enough to freeze accounts, demand audits, and launch subpoenas. Kirk, once a staple in Atlanta's hip-hop and business scene, now found himself spiraling into the shadows, reputation burned to ash. Back in her boutique, Rasheeda stood tall. She reopened with a small ceremony, surrounded by women who had followed her journey, who had sent messages, who had cried watching her video. She hugged every one of them. At the event, someone asked her, "What now?" She smiled softly and said, "Now I build for me, not for him, not for anyone else, just me." The applause that followed wasn't for a reality TV star. It was for a survivor, a woman who had turned devastation into declaration, who didn't just survive a public humiliation but redefined herself in the aftermath. The chapter was closing, but the story wasn't over. The court date for financial discovery was set. More documents would be revealed. More truth would rise to the surface. And as Kirk's world continued to collapse, one brand, one deal, one lie at a time, Rasheeda's star rose. Not because she asked for revenge, but because she demanded justice. It was supposed to be a routine court appearance, a date for document review, just paperwork. But when Kirk entered the courtroom that morning, his shoulders slumped beneath the weight of more than just betrayal. He was carrying the consequences of a lifetime of decisions that had finally caught up to him. The courtroom was smaller this time, fewer reporters, but somehow the tension was even thicker. Rasheeda was already seated, poised, silent, dressed not like someone attending a divorce hearing, but like a CEO showing up to reclaim her empire. The judge began by acknowledging the new evidence that had surfaced: offshore wire transfers linked to Kirk's cousin's fake LLC, suspicious expense reports, and a trail of funds that pointed to a calculated effort to deceive. The judge's expression was unreadable, but her voice was firm. This is no longer just a family dispute. These are actions that suggest a conscious effort to defraud not only your spouse but potentially state business regulators. Kirk barely blinked, but for the first time, he looked tired, older, smaller. Rasheeda, however, didn't look at him. Her eyes remained on the judge, focused like a laser, as if she knew this was the moment that would define everything that came after. Jasmine's name came up again, not as a romantic figure but as a recipient of illicitly diverted funds. The court now had reason to subpoena her as a financial witness. If she didn't cooperate, she could face charges of her own. And that's when Kirk finally broke his silence. "I never meant for it to get this far," he said suddenly, interrupting his lawyer. The courtroom froze. The judge tilted her head slightly, allowing him to speak. I didn't know how to walk away. I knew Rasheeda deserved better, but I didn't know how to be that person anymore. I started lying to keep up the peace, then lying became the peace. Jasmine wasn't a plan, it just happened. But I kept it going because I was already too deep. The money, the silence, the hiding, it was survival, not malice. He turned toward Rasheeda, eyes glassy. "I failed you, and I failed everything we built. But it was never because I didn't love you. I didn't love myself enough to be honest with you." Rasheeda's expression didn't change. No tears, no nod, just the stoic grace of a woman who had already grieved this man a long time ago. The judge took a long pause, then stated the court would move forward with full asset separation proceedings and refer the financial fraud elements to a state investigator. Kirk had not just lost his marriage, he was about to lose control over everything he once claimed to own. Later that evening, as the story broke that Kirk Frost was under investigation, Jasmine reappeared online with yet another cryptic message. A photo of her hand holding a coffee mug, ring still on her finger, with the caption, "Not running, just watching." But fans weren't interested in mystery anymore. They were demanding answers. What did Jasmine know? When did she know it? Did she help move the money? Did she encourage Kirk to end his marriage? Or was she simply another pawn in a much more dangerous game? The comments were ruthless. Many called her a co-conspirator. Others suggested she had played the long game all along, staying close, staying silent until she could finally step into Rasheeda's place. But now, instead of a crown, she was wearing a target. And no one, not the court, not the public, was about to let her off the hook. Back at Prest, Rasheeda's boutique, business was booming. Customers flooded in, not just to shop but to support. The loyalty she had earned wasn't just from being a reality star. It was from being real publicly, painfully, and powerfully. She launched a new clothing line that very week titled Reborn, featuring bold designs named after personal moments. Closure, The Ringless, Chapter 1, Receipt Season. The launch video included a voiceover from Rasheeda herself saying, "I lost everything that was never real, and in return, I found everything that is." It went viral within hours. The brand sold out in 2 days. Interviews followed, podcast appearances, women's empowerment panels. Brands began offering her new deals. She wasn't just surviving Kirk's betrayal, she was profiting from her power. Still, the emotional toll was visible. In one candid podcast moment, Rasheeda confessed, "There are days I still look at the door, expecting him to walk in like none of this ever happened. Muscle memory is real, but I don't miss him, I miss who I thought he was." And that's the hardest part. Realizing you were in love with a version of someone they created just to keep you around. Her vulnerability struck a chord. Viewers flooded her with messages of gratitude, saying she had given voice to a pain many women quietly carry for years. She wasn't just telling her story, she was healing through it. Meanwhile, Kirk disappeared from public view entirely. No posts, no appearances, just silence. Jasmine reportedly flew out to Miami, avoiding Atlanta media altogether. But sources claimed the two were no longer even living together. "He's unraveling," one insider said. "The money's tied up, the court dates are stacking, and Jasmine's not trying to go down with him. She wanted the ring, not the wreckage." In a stunning twist, Kirk's brother gave an exclusive interview to a low-tier podcast, saying he did all this thinking he was about to start over. Instead, he blew up everything. And the woman he did it for? She's already backing away. And just when the dust began to settle, Rasheeda made her final move. She bought out Kirk's remaining shares in their last business venture, officially becoming the sole owner. She did it quietly, with no press release, just a legal filing, a wire transfer, and a quiet photo posted on her story of her office door with a gold plaque. CEO Rasheeda Buckner Frost. The caption read, "No more shadows, just light." Fans erupted. The woman who once cried quietly behind closed doors had become the face of post-betrayal glory. No scandals, no schemes, just strength. The final hearing came and went. The judge granted Rasheeda full financial control, exclusive rights to the business properties, and a finalized divorce. Kirk left the courtroom that day alone, with no ring, no brand, and no plan. As for Jasmine, she remains silent to this day. Her last post now a graveyard of unanswered comments and faded promises. Whether she's still pregnant, still with Kirk, or still watching from the sidelines, no one knows. But one thing is certain, Rasheeda didn't just walk away from a broken marriage. She walked into a future where she never had to shrink again. A world where she didn't have to apologize for outgrowing a man who refused to rise with her. A life where her love was no longer wasted on someone who couldn't carry it. This wasn't the story of a man cheating and getting caught. It was the story of a woman remembering who she was and making sure the world never forgot again. Now, let's wrap it up with your requested call to action. Ready? So now the question stands: after everything Rasheeda gave, everything Kirk risked, and everything Jasmine stirred back to life, was it worth it? The proposal that was supposed to be the start of Kirk's next chapter became the final nail in the coffin of his legacy. The man who once begged on camera to hold his marriage together has now watched it crumble in real time because this time, Rasheeda didn't bend. She didn't plead. She rose. And in doing so, she became more than just a name in a scandal. She became the blueprint for how to turn heartbreak into empire and betrayal into power. But as the dust settles, fans are left wondering what's next. Will Kirk try to repair what's already been destroyed beyond recognition? Will Jasmine reappear with a tell-all of her own? Or will Rasheeda's final silence be the loudest answer of all? There are still questions no one can answer. Was the pregnancy real? Did Jasmine set this in motion long ago? Will Kirk face real legal consequences? The truth may still have a few more chapters left. But one thing's clear, Rasheeda's not looking back. She's not waiting on closure. She's the closure. If you were blown away by the roller coaster in this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe because the drama never sleeps, and we're always one leak away from the next explosion. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe Kirk truly loved Rasheeda? Was Jasmine a mastermind or just another pawn? And most of all, would you have stayed or walked away the way Rasheeda finally did? Your opinion matters here, so speak up, sound off, and stay tuned. Because in the world of reality drama, the next betrayal is only ever one DM away.